Hey everyone, happy Memorial Day weekend. So I'm just sitting here in the studio working on day 50 of the 100-day project.
Hey everyone.
I'm so excited. So I thought I'd pop in. This is actually my very first live on my own, and I'm like, you know what, I'm sitting here working on my project. Why not just record it and go live? So I'm finishing up. I started it actually earlier and been working on it. Day 50, 100-day project. So I'm pretty excited to have made this milestone. And today I'm just going to finish up this piece. If you haven't been following along, my 100-day project involves doing collage and painting and a variety of different art with tea bags. And I've been asked about this, what do you mean tea bags? What are you doing with the tea bags? I had one comment that was, well, are you taking the tea bag and dipping it onto the paper? Nope, not doing that. I'm actually taking dried tea bags. And these are tea bags that I've dried, and then I've just cleaned them and taken out the tea. And so I've got them in different sizes. Some of them are big, like this one here. This was, well, it's been cut now, but this is one of those folded tea bags. I really like these, especially this particular one, because the tea bag is not quite as dark. So it's a little bit lighter, and all the teas are different, so you can see here they're a little bit different. But anyway, so I thought I would just work and finish up this. And I was also being asked questions about my pastels. I have a whole bunch of different pastels that I like to use, different brands. I've done a video earlier about it, but I thought maybe while I was working I could chit chat a little bit about the pastels, because I like to use them in a non-traditional way. That being said, I like to use them with water. They're kind of messy, and I think when I first started using them, I didn't like them because they were messy and they stuck to my fingers, and I didn't quite like that. So now I use them with water, and I actually really like them. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. You can actually take the pastel and use your wet brush and then just pull the color right off of the pastel like that. And it all depends on your paper. So some of your papers are going to take this water differently. This is just cheap sketchbook paper. And I've not put gesso on this one, but some of them I do put gesso on. You might be able to see it here. Some of this is, you can see it penetrating through the paper. So sometimes it does better to have a little coat of gesso on it, but sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, just depends. So here's a few more. You can actually take them and dip them right into the wet water on your paper if you wanted to do it that way too. And you can also take the pastel. Here's some water. I'll show that again. Let me pick a different color here, maybe this blue. And then you can rub the color right onto the paper. And then you can take your brush and just kind of move it around. And I like to keep baby wipes nearby too, because then I can just dab if I get too much color or I don't really like the color. So I'm going to work on this because I need to finish it. I kind of overdo it sometimes and keep adding more and more, but I've got some different pieces here. This is deli paper that I've just painted on. I've used it as a palette with some coffee and some gesso. And then I've got bits of paper. And all I'm going to do now is start looking at the collage part of this, because I do want to add my tea bag and some bits of collage to finish it off. So let me show you the, hey Brent, it's good to see you here. That's my brother-in-law. How cool. All right. And I'm going to go in here and, oh, is that Shelly? Shelly Clark. Is that my friend, my good friend from middle school? How awesome. All right, what I want to show you guys here is this one I think was day 49. I think this was yesterday's. And this one is done much the same way. I just kept this super abstract because I really didn't want to. I started out having a focal point because I was working with flowers, but then I decided I think I'm just going to cover it up. And as it turned out, just sort of happened that this kind of ended up looking a little bit like a vase, which was not expected. I didn't plan that. But the tea bag is here. on this one. And then there's a bit of a tea bag down here. So it's not in such a way that I'm actually, hey Brent, that I'm trying to make the tea bag a focal point. I'm really not doing that. I'm just kind of adding them in here and there as more of an experiment. And then I'm using a lot of different papers that I've created. Here's a bunch of, I call these starter papers. They're just a bunch of papers that I've used and I've painted on. And then I can go in and cut these and tear them and use them to finish up whatever collage I'm working on. So this one is finished, and I rather like how this one turned out. So just wanted to show you guys that. But ask questions if you would like, and I'll do the best I can. I think I just saw one about paint. Most of these I'm not using paint. I'm using some gesso, but I'm using watercolor pencils and an assortment of pastels, and then I'm using watercolors. Now I have a bunch of different watercolors that I really like. I do like the this is the Prima, but they're called Art Philosophies. This one is called Currents. This is a new one I just got. This is the kind of the blues and a little bit of green. And then here's the, this one is, I have some that I added to it, so this isn't the full set, but this is the, I think this one's the Brights or the, I can't remember which one this one is. I think this is the Brights. It doesn't have the name on it. Oh, let me see, maybe the name's on there. Tropicals, that one's the Tropicals. And then this one is one of my favorites, and this one is the Pastel Dreams. I did add some of my own pieces in here, so these don't come with it, just the ones on the outside are part of that set. So I do like that one as well. Those are really pretty colors when you use them. They're actually not chalks, love to be kind. They're pastels, they're soft pastels. And I have a couple different brands that I like to use. This one is a soft pastel by Townsend. And then I have some Sennelays. They're a little bit different. So they're kind of like chalks, I guess you could say, but they're a little bit different. But I, as I mentioned, prefer to use them in the non-traditional way where I use them with water. I'm also asked, well, what about when you're done? And the cool thing about the pastels is that they don't dry the same. I mean, when you use them with the water, they're more like, I don't know what the right word is, not settled, but they tend to be, they're not as flaky. They don't rub off as much, but if you feel like you need to, you can set them. And I use a fixative. This is the Latour Sennelay fixative. It's specifically for pastels, but you can also use cheap hairspray. I've used cheap hairspray too. So, but they are there's a couple of different brands that I like to use of the pastels, and I'm always experimenting and trying different ones. So, the gray pencils. Okay, I'm not sure if you mean these pencils. With the color bottoms. Oh, maybe it's these. Okay, so these are called, these are Stabilo tones. These are much like the new ones that are called Woodies. Stabilo Woodies. These are an older, I guess you could say an older model or older brand. I've had these probably close to over a decade. Okay, yes, these are the ones she asked about. And these, I don't, to my knowledge, they don't make these anymore. I have seen them on eBay, but they're super expensive. But I've had these forever. But if you're interested in trying something like this, I recommend the Stabilo Woodies. Those are pretty much the same. The colors are a little bit different, but they look similar and they function about the same. I thought I had some, but I don't remember. I might have donated those. I don't recall. So, all right, let's see who else asked a question. What are the chunky pencils on your table? Okay, I think that was these that I just mentioned, and those are Stabilo tones, but you can also get a newer version of that, and those are called Woodies, Stabilo Woodies. So those are kind of fun to work with as well. And these are also water soluble, so let me show you. I like to, this is kind of a different way of doing it too, for watercolor pencils and pencils. I like to actually dip them in the water, and then I can take them and use them on my surface. So I kind of like to do that as a different way. And let me show you here with a pencil. So I'll take a pencil and I'll just dip it into the water, and then I can use the tip of it and then just add in the marks here on my piece. So I like to do that a lot. Add the pencil to the water. I'm just kind of demonstrating here on this, but we'll see what happens and how it turns out, right? All right, so what I really wanted to do is get in here and add some collage pieces, but keep the questions coming. I'll be happy to answer as we go through here. I really just kind of wanted you guys to, if you were interested, and here's what I'm doing on a Saturday, working on getting this collage piece done for the 100-day project. This is day 50, as I mentioned earlier, and that's what I'm working on. 50 days of making collages and paintings that are utilizing tea bags. So yeah, and this tea bag here has a little bit of, it was one of those that I think had a string on it so that you could, you know, dip it and then pull it to pull the water out. And I really like these because I love that string that's inside of it. So I'm going to use that one for sure on this, I think. And then other bits of paper that I have. So thank you guys so much for the kind comments. I appreciate it. I'm watching on my iPad while I'm doing this. So this is kind of cool because I can actually see the questions coming in, which I love. So, but I'm a little nervous, guys, because this is the first time I've done this where it's live. Going live is a little nerve-wracking because you're like, you know, what if I sound stupid? What if I say something that doesn't make sense? And I'm not used to, you know, having people watching me while I'm working. It's kind of cool, but, you know, it's a little bit scary too. So I'm just going to go in now and kind of add a little bit more color. And then I kind of let things dry, and then I can go in if I need to with a heat tool and activate, but I won't do that to you guys. I'm going to cover this part up right here because I really didn't like that color combination that I did. It was a little too much blue and pink together. I'm not a big fan of purple, so thanks, love to be kind. I appreciate it. It is kind of fun. I've been wanting to do this forever, but like I said, it's kind of scary, right? When you can record a video, you can edit the video and you're like, oh, I can take that part out or I can change that. Can't really do that when you're going live, but it's kind of fun. It's almost like you guys are just, you know, you're right here with me while I'm working and creating. So I don't know what anybody has planned for the weekend. I don't know where you are in the world. I'm in Florida. So we definitely have had some restrictions lifted and we've been able to do some things, and actually got my hair colored and cut yesterday. It was awesome. This is white gesso, and this is the brand I like to use, Liquitex. There's a whole bunch of different brands out there you can use. Some are thicker, some are a little bit thinner, and I like to put it in this little bowl and have it where I'm just putting a little bit in it each time, and then I can use it as I need it. Seems to work for me. I had tried that and thought maybe I'll try a different approach rather than always putting it on a palette. So hey, we got some folks from Sweden and Norway. Awesome. Yeah, the weather here in Florida is really nice today. We might get a little bit of rain, but it's really, really hot, like hot and humid. But that's okay. You know, I'm just glad for some sunshine. We did get some really good rain, though, the last couple of days, and that's been kind of nice. Kind of knocks the pollen down a little bit, too. Greetings from Holland. I've been to Holland, New Mexico, London. Hey, guys, so glad to have y'all here. Barcelona. I've never been to Barcelona. Never been to Barcelona. So let me ask you guys. Oh, Australia. Hey, Australia. Yes, it's spring in Sweden. That's awesome. So, you know, I know that some artists have been doing these live, you know, maybe Zoom sessions where they're creating, and I've been debating it. Not sure, but would you guys be interested in something like that where it's sort of a live working together on different things? You can just let me know in the comments. And yes, we have a newbie that just came in and is asking about the first part and what are the crayons. Yeah, I think you mean these chubby little thick pencils. Those are called Stabilo tones. They actually don't make that particular one anymore, but you can get the Stabilo woodies, and those are a good substitute for them. And they are water soluble, so they're really nice to work with. All right, this is just matte medium that I'm putting on this piece of collage paper that I have. Let's see here. All right, so yeah, okay, good idea. Maybe do do a live session where we can work together. That'd be kind of fun. I mean, I am doing the 100-day project. I'm doing it like every day, so I have 50 more days to do this. All right, this is just deli paper. I'm just pressing over the top of it just to kind of smooth that out a little bit. See, and I like that. I'm just using really cheap paper here, guys, and I actually kind of like this cheaper paper better. I like it getting a little buckly and wrinkly, and maybe, I don't know, it's to each his own, right? All right, what kind of brushes do you use when you gesso or use matte gels? I think it's more of just this is just a really cheap brush. I don't even know, it doesn't even have a label on it, but I like the flat tip. It's kind of short, and I like the fact that it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's tight, and it's fat, but in a way that it's more square. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but anyway, that's all. And then I use a small one, and then I have, this is the one I use when I'm doing large projects. This is one of the Dina Wakley brushes, and I love this one because, again, it's flat, but it's got a lot of bristles in it, and it's great for big portions of glue or adhesive, or using gesso. So I like to use that one for when I'm using on a bigger surface. I like to do that. So good question. All right, so let's see here. I'm trying to decide where I want to put the tea bag. I really am starting to like that spot up there. I actually covered it up because I wasn't liking the way that looked. I had put some coffee there, some espresso. This is actually, this one tastes amazing even as a coffee. It's, I don't know how to pronounce that. Medaglia d'Oro. It's a super, super fine espresso, and I used it on there in a few places, but I didn't like how dark that little spot had become, so I covered it up, which is great. When you're doing collage, you can cover up stuff that you don't like, which is always good, right? And then I was thinking maybe this spot over here. So I just kind of lay pieces down, and I don't really know ahead of time what I'm going to do. I just start putting the pieces down and then decide. Okay, we have somebody here who has that coffee. It's good. Made from, yes. Yeah, I got it on Amazon. I thought I would try it. And actually, I bought it specifically to use in my work. And then I tried it, and I was like, this is actually really good coffee. So now I have to buy more because I'm moving it between the studio and the kitchen. So, but it's very good. So now I'm just kind of deciding at this point, where do I want some pieces? Now, I like to add a lot of extra dark or black into the piece, and I don't see a whole lot of that. I can use the pastels for that, and I use black a lot. So let me introduce you to this. This is a soft pastel. This is a Senile. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. This is the jumbo. I have it in white and in black because I use so much of these two colors. Even here's my black. You can see my little half stick is super tiny. And so I run out of those, and I like to, so I just started buying the big ones. Medaglia d'Oro. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, now I know. That's awesome. Yeah, it is really good. All right, so we have another question. How many layers does one of your pieces generally have? Well, that's a good question. I've done so many different ones for this 100-day project. Let me go grab a couple of them and I'll show you guys. Of course, that's assuming you want to see them, right? All right, so here's some of the ones. Actually, I'm doing videos for you guys too, where I'm going to do sort of like a flip through where I'll show you different pieces from the project. And then I decided on some of them. I'm going to take them and I'm going to take one of the pieces and I'm going to just tear it up and use it in a project, like show you how to use it in a project. Let me show you what I mean by that too. So for instance, one of the projects, I have already done the video and I'll be posting the first one really soon for you guys so you can see the projects that I've done, and then also taking one of them and then using it in another project. because I'm asked a lot, well, what are you doing with these? Well, number one, I think that I will probably list some of these in my shop. I have no idea if you guys are interested in that or not, but I will probably do that. I'll keep my favorites, of course, and then use those. But like, for instance, one of the pieces that I did for the 100-day project, I then took and tore it up, and then I used it to work in my journal. And so I used it to work in this particular journal. This one is from my transitions journal. This was a free class that I did, and I will put a link in here as well when we're done so that you guys can link to it. It was a free little journaling class. It's a no soap journal, which is kind of fun because it's really easy. And but it's called Transitions Journal. And so I took one of these pieces, tore it all up, and then reused it to create a journal page. And of course I have other examples of various things I'm going to do as well. So those will be videos that will be coming soon. But yeah, so the question originally was layering, right? How do you layer? What are you doing? You know, how many pieces of, you know, whatever. So for instance, it depends. Like for instance, this one has gesso. It has watercolor, pastel. I then went in and added some collage papers. There's a few pieces here and there. There's tea bag over it, and then I went back over it again with more watercolor, pencil. So I would say probably on this one and on most of these, there's at least 3 to 4 layers, depending on the project, you know, depending on what I was doing. So these are all, I mean, this is not all of them, but I think this is close to my 49, 50 pieces so far that I've done. But that's a great question, and like I said, it depends. Okay, here's another question. I love the combination of black and soft pastels. Yeah, that's, I do too. Love that. Let me see, I think I have another one to show you guys. Now this is the sketch pad book I'm using for these really big ones. It's Canson, 11 by 14. It's just a sketchbook, so it's not a really expensive paper. Let's see. I know I'm getting off the subject here of working on the one I'm doing. Okay, here's another one of my 100 days as well that was done in the sketchbook too. And this one probably has, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 layers, just because I like to put pastel and watercolor down and then come back in and then add in more color and then add in the paper collage. But the tea bag on this one is down here at the bottom. And then there's a tea bag portion here and also up at the top. So this is, again, one of those really inexpensive sketchbooks. So I started out just kind of playing in this with my watercolor and my pastels, and then decided, wow, I kind of like the way this is working. Maybe I'll start adding in the tea bags and the paper collage and use this as my 100-day project, right? So here's when I started. This is totally base layer. I like to come into the studio and throw stuff down on the paper, let it dry, come back to it, add more. And I often will look at these, as I mentioned earlier, as like starter papers, where then I can come back in, I can decide I don't really like this, or I like it, I'll cut it up, use it, or it becomes the base of one of my pieces. So it's not really complicated. I just kind of do whatever. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Y'all are super sweet. Yes. Oh, hey. Oh, Collage Cafe. Yes, I am kind of experimenting and seeing about going in a new direction. So, yeah. Chunky pastels. Yes, they are lots of fun, guys. And you know, if you're intimidated or you're not sure about using pastels, as I mentioned earlier, because I thought I don't like these, they're too messy. They're just all that powder all over my fingers. I really didn't like it. So, let's see here. Oh, my phone ate the covering. Oh, yeah. Anyone know how to remove the comments? Yeah, actually, yes, I have to remove the comments because I'm doing the live session, and I totally hear you. I wish there was a way that you could move the comments, you know, up to the top of this. Oh, that's a great idea. Thanks for sharing that, Crafty Girl. Tap in the middle of the screen and then only one comment at a time shows. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. How did you start the base? Did you use gesso? Okay, that's a good question. I have been experimenting right now with this sketchbook paper, and so far I have not used gesso because I like gesso and then I don't like gesso, right? I like these cheap papers that get kind of wrinkly and have some character. So what I'm doing is I'm experimenting right now with a very light coat of a clear gesso or a white gesso, it doesn't matter, and seeing which one I like the best. And I've also, on this one, I actually put gesso on the back of the paper so that I could see if that would minimize some of the wrinkle but still give me some wrinkle. I don't know if that makes any sense. Thanks guys for the tips on the comments. Yay, I'm so glad. See, I learned something because, again, this is my first real, you know, going live. Yeah, the dusty feeling. That's a great way to describe it, the dusty feeling. Because years ago when I became familiar or heard, you know, started using pastels, I was like, okay, I wasn't a super messy creative back then. And I was like, okay, I totally don't like this. I don't like all that stuff on my fingers. But now, you know, I use them with water and you don't have to worry about it quite so much. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just adding some of these collage pieces onto here. This is just deli paper that I'm just putting over the top of it just to smooth it out. I have a little scraper that's not nearby, so how do you use gesso? You know, I use the gesso much like I do paint, but the gesso is a primer, and there's a clear gesso you can get white, you can get black, and what's really nice about it is that you can use it even as paint. And so that's what I have in this little dish here, and I'll just go in and use the gesso. I like the way that it feels, the texture of it. It's a little bit grainy, which I think is pretty cool. So, but I just use it like regular paint. But if, I mean, you want to prime something, I don't use canvas a lot, but you can use it obviously to prime canvas. You can prime your paper. All right, this little piece here has some coffee on it, coffee stain deli paper with a little bit of gesso. And I'm just, these are awesome, people. Awesome, because you get these super translucent areas that you can then, you know, you can use deli paper. It's not parchment, it's not wax paper, it is different. And then you can use these as like layering pieces, which is really nice. But I do need to get my tea bag in here. Oh, this is the one I'm gonna use. And I think, as I'm looking here, I think I do want to put this one up here. All right, I'm gonna try to move this up a little bit so you guys can see it. I really wish the comments were at the top. I don't know, I think maybe right there looks good, but I'm still trying to decide. All right, the gold gesso makes me happy. Been using that. Ooh, I've never tried gold gesso. That's interesting. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I'm still working on this and I feel like I need some more black. And I'm gonna try to keep this under an hour. I have no idea what time I started. And that way I can just save it to IGTV. Thanks guys. Oh, hey Pam, it's good to see you here. Oh, I admire your work so much. You actually kind of inspired me, Pam, to do this today. I was seeing you go on live and I'm like, you know what? I need to just get over my fear and I need to do it. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of adding in some of my paper bits because I need to get my tea bag in here to finish up my 100-day. But I feel like I need a little bit more black in here. I like to have that really big contrast. So I'm gonna, for this, I think I'm gonna maybe put a little bit in here. I'm gonna add some water. And then I'm gonna go back to that super big, chunky Sennelier pastel. And I'm just gonna kind of rub the pastel into the water. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do that. Maybe I'll put some black up here because that was that little spot that I covered up earlier that I wasn't really happy with. It might not be dry yet, so the color is going to probably be more gray, which it is. Yeah, it's a little too gray. I needed to take a heat tool to that part right there. But actually, I'll probably just cover that up with maybe some paper. So sometimes that happens, you know, you just keep going. This is a baby wipe, so I can just wipe off what I didn't like. But I think I am going to put some paper on that part. All right, I need to get this piece down. So let's go ahead and do this one. I really like this piece here. This will be the tea bag part. And I do like using these because they're translucent to a point where you can get, especially like with this, I've got that ledger paper underneath there and it kind of peeks through. Yeah, I like that. And I love the strings. I love that little bit of string there. And then I'll take a little bit of white. Yep, you can sure paint with baby wipes, absolutely. Not just to clean your hands, right? And then I'm just gonna use my finger here just to add a little bit of white gesso over the tea bag and just a little bit of spots there. Yeah, kind of makes it blend in a little bit more where it doesn't just look like it's sitting on the top though. Can you share your process of the tea bags? Yeah, absolutely. And I did a video on this as well, where I was preparing for the 100-day project. Let me see, I think I have a tea bag nearby. Yeah, I do. Okay, so basically I take the tea bags and I let them dry. I'm gonna put this paper towel down here so you guys can see. So here is the dry tea bag. This is one of those that folds over. And so it has like a little, this one has a staple in it. I don't like the ones with the staple, but, and then you can just open them up after they're dry and then just remove the tea this way. And then you can keep it, this one in the lengthwise, or you can open it up too. I just really like these because they have these strings on the end as well. The ones with a staple don't work quite as well, but I have some that don't have a staple. You just have to kind of experiment. But I do have a video, and I think it's on my blog, it's on YouTube, where I show the whole process, like drying them, placing them out, the whole 9 yards. And then I can just now use this. And it's dry and it's clean. Some of them they get a little more clean than others. Like this one here didn't get quite as clean, but I actually don't mind having a bit of the bits of the tea in there as well. All right, so I hope that answered your question, because yes, I actually am not using a wet tea bag on here. So let's see. You are more than welcome. Yeah, I think that it's called tea bag prep or something like preparing for the 100-day project or something like that. So I've got quite a few videos, but I actually, just like I said, I kind of walk you through exactly and then talk about the project because I just started doing yeah, I have round ones too. Yeah, here is, yeah, there's a couple different kinds. Like here's a round one. Here's the one that has the little string in it. And then I have these flat ones that are just square. So there's like 3 different kinds that I'm working with. Like here's one this one was really cool. Ooh, I like this one. This one has some stain on it and it still has the little, what do you call that? The tag? I don't know, not the tag, but actually this one has a little poem on it. So this one's kind of cool and it has the string still on it. So I'll definitely be using that one. Yeah, and what you can do as well is you can use a fixative or some inexpensive hairspray on this to kind of lock in the color if you wanted to do that so that it doesn't kind of run. Because some of the tea bags I did were really pretty. They had some pink in it, and then when I glued it, the pink kind of disappeared. So I'm like, oh, that did not work. Okay, so I've got my tea bag here, a little bit of paper. And Pam, I did see your question about the lighting. I do use box lighting. I can't really move the phone at this moment to show, but I have 2 box lights, one on each side of my art table, which really helps to, because I don't have a room that has a lot of natural light. And so I have to use some artificial, but I use they're more like a white light bulb. And then I have a Diva light ring above, and it's actually rigged up with zip ties onto my boom stand. So it's kind of a, but yeah, it really does make a really big difference. What inspired you to do the 100-day tea bags? Do you ever get, oh, ants? No, ants in your pants and struggle with doing the same thing. Oh, okay. I thought you meant ants, Willa, in the tea. Yeah, well, when I first started, this is my 4th year doing the project, and I was just playing and experimenting and trying to decide, you know, what do I want to do? And I think that I had some tea bags, or my husband was making tea. There was a whole, I mean, I don't even remember how it started because that was a while back. But, you know, we were also right in the middle of this whole thing with the pandemic. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And I just started playing with doing my starter papers, which don't take a lot of effort. I just paint, I just do. And that way, I didn't have to really think about it. And then I started adding in the tea bag, and then it was like, maybe I'll do that. And I felt like if I just do something like this, where I could make these papers, tear them up if I wanted to, it wouldn't be super rigid, I guess, because I can do them in any size I want. I can do them big and small. I can change them up. So, Spectrafix. Yeah, I have that. Oh no, maybe that's not it. Oh yeah, I just got this. I haven't used it yet, actually. I just ordered this, Pam, and I have heard good things about this. And so I'm going to give it a try, but I haven't yet. So I really didn't want to say for sure. It's Degas Fixative Spectrafix. It's odor-free, non-toxic, all natural. So I am going to give that a try. Yes, tea bags for substrates. There's some amazing work out there, guys, with art on tea bags. And you should definitely check out a hashtag on Instagram and check out what's out there. That's not the way I'm doing my project, but there is some amazing art out there. So for those of you who are kind of tuning in, I just thought I'd go live today, guys, and just kind of just show you what I'm working on today. I'm just working on my 100-day project piece, which is just making paper, collaging with tea bags. Mainly, it's just a tea bag has been incorporated into it. So, but I'm happy to answer questions if you have any. I'll probably stay live here a little bit longer, and then I'll upload it to my channel, so you guys can watch it if you want to later, or if you missed the beginning, you can kind of tune in. But so this is just one of my pieces. This is day 50, as I mentioned earlier. So we're working through, and I'm so excited to have made it to day 50. But then I kind of look and I go, oh boy, I've got 50 more days to go. But that's all good, right? All right, I have a huge pile and a big mess here that I'm looking for. So you guys can't see what's out of view. You can't see what's outside my phone circle. And it's actually quite messy. There's a big pile of papers, and oh, there's a nice one. Look at that. That's a nice deli paper, coffee ringed paper. I definitely think I'm going to use that somewhere. Maybe down here. I'm trying to move this up a little bit. All right, I'm looking for more questions. How do you use your medium to adhere the pieces? All right, I've been using matte medium. I also have a heavy gel medium that I use if I feel like I need to use that. And I'm a lover of glue sticks, but for this project I've found, because the paper is so bumpy, the gel or the matte medium has been working pretty well for me. And I say bumpy as in I've been using this really inexpensive paper. But if I have a lot of layers and my paper seems to be a little thick, I will use the gel medium. On a flat tea bag. Oh, that's pretty cool. Continuous line drawing on a flat tea bag. Ah, nice. So you could actually do the art and then adhere it to the tea bag. Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that very much. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Toss them in. I'm going to finish up here, and then I'm going to kind of focus a little bit more. I've been very unfocused on this project, answering questions, but this has been actually fun. I'm really glad I did this. Now see, I really like that right up there, so I'm not even going to overthink that. I'm just going to go ahead and put that down. Earlier, as I was working, I kind of put too much stuff right in that spot that I didn't really like, so I'm covering it up now. Yeah, that looked good. Yeah, and I hope it's hard for me to know how well this is recorded or how well the video's done. I hope it's been good. I just upgraded my whole system in the house, and hopefully that is going to be good because my studio space is in the very back, and we have cinder block walls, and so there's a lot of obstruction between my router area and where I'm working. So hopefully that's good. See how that blended in? It really just kind of looks like it is part of the paper. And so let's see, I'm gonna take, this is a charcoal pencil, and I think I want to continue a little bit of this line. It's probably still too wet, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And maybe kind of pull some of those lines that are in that piece of paper that I pulled down, just to make it look like it's still part of the overall piece. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm so glad the video is doing well. That's awesome. Yeah, I've got this, it's new technology. It's called mesh technology. And there's like these little boxes or little, I don't know, they look like little spaceships. And then you put them in various areas around the house. And so it all connects. And what's really cool about it, I know I'm getting techie, I love the techie stuff. It's, if one of them goes down, the other ones compensate. So you don't ever really lose anything. So, yeah, awesome. I'm really glad I did this. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'll have this posted soon to my Instagram so you guys can see the finish. It's almost done. And I really appreciate all the great questions, and thanks. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, no matter where you are. Yes, I will post this, and I don't know if it posts with the comments or without. Oh, thanks, Will. I appreciate that. Yeah, I will do this again. This was a lot of fun. I mean, I do have 50 more days to go, right? And yeah, I want to answer questions as I go, but maybe what I can do in another one is turn the comments off for a little while and then just create and work and then come back, and then I can answer questions that way. So we'll see. But anyway, thanks guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you next time. All right.